guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I Did the Thing. I went to Hot Topic with a girlfriend today, and for those happening upon this post in a few months, it's like a week from Halloween. We walk into the store and near the front is this large group of cosplayers and costumed young adults, and I recognized one of them from a store we had been to earlier. According to one of the employees there and a party member of the groups, they were doing a scavenger hunt for one of the friends' birthday go-to-X store, find the most superlative thing, take a pic with it, etc. Someone else has stopped by the store where I work and for something similar a few weeks ago, actually. Really hecking cool, and I'm remembering that for later. But of course, my dumb brain saw the young woman. They were all crowded around and looking too and went, oh cool, they're getting help finding the most superlative thing. Later on, a little while after the costume hunting team had left for the next leg of their quest, the girlfriend and I find, like, it's not important but I know I'm gonna go off on a tangent if I say more. But cute hat, i.e., then you could try on without removing the packaging or taking it to a dressing room. And I see that young lady again, and she's hecking beautiful. Killer makeup with a bit of glitter, then round tinted glasses, bomber jacket covered in patches, you get it. So I recognize her and say something to the effect of, oh hi, sorry to bother, but do you have a mirror somewhere? Very politely, she says, I don't know, but I also don't work here. To which I, who has no filter, immediately blurts, oh sorry, I just thought, because you're so stylish. I missed her reaction to that because, at that very moment, I realized she's black. Now, my mom is a woman of color. I'm like 4/5 white, so I'm essentially not, but yo, my mom. She works in emerging technologies, used to work at Johns Hopkins and NASA, is the president of her small company, Bulkit and Capital. However, when she goes to conferences and whatnot, colleagues meeting her face-to-face assume she's a waitress or part of hospitality and ask her to fetch them drinks when she's either introducing herself or minding her own business. And now I've probably added a layer of discomfort to this poor lady's day, where a cool trip to an impromptu anime convention was tainted by microaggressions and some white folk going, I'm not racist, but you look. I think I busied myself with some jewelry and my girlfriend mercifully steered me to another area. We kinda ran into her a couple more times, didn't interact, and I hope she enjoyed her shopping trip, found something she liked. Remember the day for the cool dragon lady and her posse. The next story is titled I Do Work Here Lady. This is not my story but my husband's. This happened when my husband had recently graduated college and was working in IT and Linux computer systems/servers. He had been called to a high school that was getting an entirely new computer lab and new equipment for all the teachers too. It was his job to set up the lab and configure the servers and computers. He arrived early and went straight to the lab, but after about an hour he decided to take a short break and went to the school's vending machines to get something to drink. It's important to know that my husband looks very young. He's about 5'7", and has a very baby face. Right now he works for Visinet, mainly their security department. His official title is Linux Expert Administrator. He's the lead in his team, and almost every time they get a new team member, they automatically assume he's the junior and maybe he has a year or experience, when in reality he has over 20 years experience and is in fact their boss. He doesn't take offense because he had been dealing with this for pretty much all his life, and this story is about when this happened the first time. Apparently, as he tells it, a teacher from the school saw getting a drink and immediately marched up to him demanding to know why he was out of class. And at the vending machines were off limits during class hours. Aren't all hours class hours technically? He realized almost immediately she was assuming he was a student, but before he could even explain she shouted at him, which shut him up for a moment. And he just let her rant at him for a little while and couldn't help but smile at her, which just seemed to make her more angry. He explained their dialogue. Why are you smiling? This isn't some kind of joke. That's it. You are coming with me to the principal's office right now. You are in big trouble, young man. She was shouting at him and took him by the arm, not hard or anything. Okay, my husband said as she escorted him to the principal's office. Sit down. Sir, this student was at the vending machines during class hours. He was very disrespectful and was acting like everything was a big joke. She said, folding her arms across her chest, all mad. Please tell me you are the one joking, the principal said. This is OP husband. He's here to set up our computer lab and configure our equipment. And he's not a student, he's here working, the principal said. Apparently, she was super embarrassed and could barely utter an apology to him, she was so flustered. And what was even more funny was that the principal asked her why she was out of her classroom, and who was watching and teaching her students while she was harassing the IT guy. He left to continue doing his job, so he doesn't know what happened after that. I love these stories from him as he has a lot, and the poor man still gets eyed at stores for beer and cigs. He's in his late 40s already. The next story is titled, When Old People Attack. I worked as director of security at a resort in southern Arizona many years ago. My attire was usually business casual. One day, I decided to wear a red shirt and khaki pants. I ran to Target when the night shift jurors in to buy some power strips for some new equipment we had gotten that day. While trying to find the best fitting product, I hear, "Hey, excuse me." Engrossed in my thoughts about power strips, I moved forward a few inches thinking someone was trying to get behind me. Then got grabbed by my arm by a small, trollish-looking woman. "Hey, I'm talking to you." "Duck off, lady. Don't touch me." "Well, I thought you worked here," after staring at my shirt that clearly says a name other than Target. Regardless if I do or not, doesn't give you the right to grab people. Note, I am an easygoing person, but people who treat retail workers, restaurant workers, etc. like crap just because they can trigger Hulk smash mode. I worked at Best Buy in college and have no patience for those sorts. She hops off and I think that's the end of it. Make my purchases and head to the door when some Gerald McRaney-looking dude comes up to me, sticks his finger in my chest and doesn't quite make eye contact, starts telling me about how furious he is and I won't have a job much longer. Troll woman, who has no neck, is standing by smugly watching. I begin to transition my concept of her from a troll to an owl. "Get your finger out of my chest before I slap the ducking dentures out of your mouth." The town I lived in was notorious for snowbirds and their bad entitled behavior. He sputters and I continue to walk to my car. When I opened my car door, he tried to shut it. "Okay, calm down. Try to resolve this without escalation." What would I prove, as a 24-year-old man, beating up a misguided, impossible, confused senior citizen? Get back to the nursing home before they realize you're missing, man. This won't end well for you. He walks to the back of my car. I'm assuming he was getting my plate number. And as I drive off, he begins following me in the car as I head back to work. I called the police and told them he was following me and said where I was heading, and they said they'd send someone. Get to my work and told the guy at the gate, a 6'5" X-Force recon guy, whom I had great respect for. He was in his 70s and worked part-time, and I loved talking to him about his life, not to let the car in under any circumstances. I'm in my office, setting up the equipment. About 7 minutes later, when I get a call on the radio, there's an issue at the gate. Well, I didn't see this coming. I head up there, agitated and telling myself to remain professional. The idiot and his wife are shouting at my guard to let them in. They're after a criminal, etc. And he was telling them that when the police get there, they can make that determination. Police cruiser finally pulls up. After taking everyone aside and getting statements, the old couple actually told the truth with some slight exaggeration. The officer was like, "Okay, so by your own admission you grabbed him. Then you waited outside for him, and you stuck your finger in his chest and tried prevented him from leaving, then followed him all the way here. Do you not see something wrong with this?" Officer asked if I wanted to file a report. I just shook my head no and asked for them to be trespassed. They got told to leave and I never saw them again. Fun, completely unrelated work story. At Best Buy during a Black Friday, some guy who was drunk, his girlfriend and their infant were in the store. The infant was in a car seat on the flatbed part of the cart. Someone said he had a Call of Duty game that was partially concealed by a blanket, so we threw him on the monitor and watched him. With his child on the cart, he began running the cart into things, trying to get the precariously balanced game to fall into the car seat. Manager kicks him out. He comes back saying, "Man, y'all accusating me. Don't be accusating every time I'm here, y'all accusating." Moral of the story: don't be accusating. The next story is titled, I got asked by two different people. So the other day I left work and stopped at a craft store. My work uniform is jeans and a forest green golf-style t-shirt with our company name and logo clearly embroidered in white above the left breast pocket area. The store I went to has staff in casual clothes, wearing red aprons with their logo stitched in white near the top. I'm casually looking at yarn when this guy stops at the end of the aisle and asks, "Do you work here?" I laugh and say I wish I did so stock would be cheaper. He looks at me quizzically and then says, "Well, do you know where the scissors are?" "No, buddy, sorry. No idea." Whatever, he moves on and I find what I need. As I'm standing in line at the tills, an old supervisor from a completely unrelated job recognizes me and we catch up. I pay for my stuff, she pays for hers, and we are standing next to a clearly unmanned till that also happens to be about 15 feet from the entrance/exit. She is not wearing anything remotely red. A customer runs in the entrance, looks at me and says, "Oh crap, I forgot a mask. Do you have one?" Note I am wearing a disposable one, as required by my workplace. I say, "Sorry, no I don't," and she says, "Well, I'll just have to put my hand over my mouth," but like in a manner where she is seemingly asking my permission. I'm like, "Yeah, I guess you'll have to do that." She just walks away. My old supervisor looks at me super confused and is like, "Does she think you work here?" So I tell her about the scissors guy, and we laugh about how people are colorblind and apron blind as we leave the store. I'm still confused. The next story is titled "It Doesn't Hurt to Ask." You're no better off if you didn't ask at all. This just happened to me today and was not a bad oops. I, 42, am at a store, let's just call it Wally World, just buying candy for an upcoming spooky holiday. I don't work at the store and I have a green shirt on. I was browsing when an older man, and a 6'ft" tall boy, I might be in his 70s, come up to me out of the blue and asked where to find strawberries. We are in the right area, and I know where the fresh fruit is and walked him over. No, I wanted strawberries for strawberry shortcake. I have not had any in many years. He gets flustered and says he wanted a more creamy strawberry. I say sorry, but I didn't work there. I was not sure what he meant. I felt bad as he wandered off to look for others to help him. I watched him walk off, then got an idea of pie filling and ran to the baking aisle to find the strawberry filling. After I go off to find him, I found him a little after as the frozen strawberries, getting slightly upset about how they wouldn't be right either, since the pieces would be too big. I tap him on the shoulder and wave. Me, I found pie filling, showing him the can of filling. I use it when I want shortcake. Owen was smiling so bite. "This will do great, thank you. You're a great worker." Me using my eyes to smile due to wearing my face mask. "I don't work here." Why did you help then?" "Me? You asked me." It doesn't hurt to ask. You're no better off if you didn't ask at all. We part ways and I get to the candy aisle and I find the good candy up high. I able to try and climb up on 5 foot tall to reach the big pack of normal candy bars, when a tall teenage boy comes up and helps me get them down. Me, "Thank you, teenager. No problem, you helped with my grandpa in being able to enjoy his favorite snack later with us. He asked me to help you. He wanted me to say to you is don't hurt to ask." The teen walks back to his grandpa, and we give a small wave. The next story is titled "Today in a Big Box Store." We went to get new phones today at the best store to buy at. While waiting for the guy to go through all the registration and setup for the phones, a woman walks up to my husband and says I could really use some help with the TV. I thought, holy hell, this is actually happening. He was trying to tell her that the other person manning customer services would be right back, but she wanted help now. He was stammering a bit, so I leaned over and said the magic words, "He doesn't work here." She looked at me, then at my husband, who said, "Oh, I don't work here." But I thought, she said, gesturing at my husband, who is nerdy. He gave her a puzzled look and said, "I am not wearing a blue shirt. The people who work here wear blue shirts." She looked around and saw all the blue shirts, turned away and wandered off. Note, my husband was wearing a black t-shirt with an image of Darth Vader on the front that said, "Come to the dark side." We have masks. The next story is titled "I Can't Tell Who Works Here and Who Doesn't." And she was right. In a change of pace from the usual tales on this page, this story is about a customer who was actually correct in her statement and was able to laugh at the situation. Over the weekend, I went to a very popular Renaissance fair. Many people dress up in garb from that time period, as well as other fun outfits/costumes. I was dressed as a wood elf. I went into this corset shop and was looking around. After a few minutes, a young man in typical Ren fair clothing announced that if anyone needed to be sized for a corset, he would be happy to help. Me and 3 other women immediately said, "Oh yes, me please." He had us make a line, and the woman behind me said, "Thank God you said something. I can't tell who works here and who doesn't." We all agreed and had a little laugh together. The next story is titled "Just the Other Day." I have recently started working in a middle school in the kitchen, and the uniform is the typical black pants with black polo that has the logo. I worked my first day and had to get some groceries right after. I was in a bit of a rush because I was cutting it close to being back home in time for my crotch fruits bus. Anyways, I was heading down a main aisle to get some rolls and passed by the cooler area with bacon. Now, I'm speed walking, wearing an oversized black polo. The new job only had extra larges. Frozen chicken patties and steam-able frozen corn all gathered awkwardly in my arms when a man turns and catches my eyes. He looked at me and asked if the empty bacon slot was the only one that was on special. Caught like a moth to flame, I walked forward and read all of the signage while listening to him keep inquiring. I pointed out the thick cut was for the same price. That was when he asked me if there were any more packages of the empty slot in the back. Having never gotten this far in a situation, I looked at him, gave a small laugh, and told him I wouldn't know about that because I don't work there. His reaction was priceless. Fist-to-mouth area, look of "oh no" very prominent on his face, and his words of apologies. He proceeded to tell me he thought I was a really good salesperson. I laughed, he laughed, and we parted ways. The next story is titled "You're Wearing Scrubs, So You're a Nurse." So I work at a fairly large, fairly well-known cancer treatment center. You've probably seen commercials for this place. I'm a scheduler, so I'm not clinical. But I do work in the clinic and often see patients after their appointments. So I wear scrubs. Each team's scrubs here are color coordinated so staff and patients know what team you're on, and it's a pretty good system. But outside of the center, they just look like everyday scrubs. You can probably see where this is going. I was grabbing some snacks for the office on lunch break at the grocery store the other day when I got a tap on my shoulder. I turned to see a lady with a fairly full buggy grinning at me. Let's call her Karen. "Hey," Karen says, "can you take a look at this spot on my son's foot? It's really been bugging him, and it's super swollen, and I'm just worried about it." I am confused, of course, but she points at this huge ace bandage she has wrapped around her toddler's foot. It does look big, but of course, it is out of my range of expertise. So I explain, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not a nurse or clinical or anything. I'm a scheduler." She just continues to give me this condescending smile, "But you're wearing scrubs." "Yes, ma'am, I work in the clinic of this cancer center, but I'm a scheduler, not medical. You should take your son to a doctor or an urgent care if it's that bad." My easy and concise explanation went right over Karen's head. "But you're wearing scrubs." "Yes, but I'm not a nurse." I didn't know how else to reply because she just kept staring at me. So I repeated the thing about urgent care and went back to looking at chips. Karen was not happy. She blew up. "Is this because of money? Can't you do something nice for a single mom? Aren't you supposed to help people? All you nurses and doctors care about is money. None of you give a damn about the patient," and other screeching of the like. I snapped, "Lady, I'm not a nurse." She continued her rant. "Well, you shouldn't wear scrubs then. That's fraud. That's impersonating a medical worker. That's a felony. I bet you just want the attention because of the pandemic. You need to." I just grabbed my chips and walked away. I swear as I did I could hear her stomp her foot like a child. Not super climactic, but absolutely mind-boggling. I can see the confusion, but I have no idea what this lady's logic was. Literally, no medical professional is going to give a diagnosis in the grocery store unless it's an emergency. I hope the kid is okay either way though. He was very well behaved for a toddler who was probably in a good bit of discomfort. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.